Hey, my name's Rory Sweeney. I'm here at Anthem Vinyl, who pressed my new album, Old Earth, and I'm here to answer some questions for HMV. A couple of things. One was there's an idea called stone tape theory, which is like a pseudoscientific kind of claim from the 1800s that ghosts and hauntings are basically recordings of events onto land as opposed to being like supernatural phenomena. And I kind of really like this idea, and I guess both in a kind of silly and serious way. I was thinking about like kind of Irish history and like Ireland's recent history being looked at through the land and through this kind of like silly and kind of mythological kind of thing. And then also another big influence was Mark Fisher's writing. A lot of his writing about like hauntology, and a lot of his writing about like, I don't know, like kind of vampires and horror movies and stuff like that was very much in the back of my head. But yeah. A couple of things. One was a big thing I was really keen on was making long songs. So like, you know, most of the music I'd made before this was maybe only 2 minutes long, 2-3 minutes long on average, you know, whereas most songs in this go from 6 to 10 minutes. And I was trying to kind of, that was just one big thing that I was trying to justify. I was trying to justify the length in my head a lot. And then also, a big thing was like trying to think about the songs really emotionally and really fully. So like if it was a song that had maybe acoustic elements or more kind of human elements, I tried to lean as hard into that as possible, so get as much acoustic stuff as possible. Or if it was a song that was very digital and very kind of technology kind of oriented or whatever, I tried to lean into that a lot, so creating big atmospheres of kind of technology and electricity and stuff like that. And yeah, just tried to fill it with loads of samples of stuff that like felt very personal to me, and also samples of kind of stuff in Ireland and a lot of like recordings of certain places and stuff like that. So those were the big things.
In the middle of the ocean.
A couple of things. I mean, I think when I was coming to finishing this record, and when I was working forward on the record, I definitely sought out a lot of people who I thought would be perfect for what I was going for. So people like SV Hymns, who goes under the name Celine Starling on this, who's an amazing kind of very internet-y rapper, producer who I really love. Because his work kind of reflected what I was going for. And then the likes of Saoirse Miller, who's a very old friend of mine, I sought her out to work on it. And then Rosh, she was on a bunch of tracks, and same with Richard Ojeda, and I was working on other music with them, and that's how those songs kind of came about. But loads changed about it. I spent a lot longer making songs now. I'm quite like perfectionist about how the songs turn out. So I'm spending a lot more time writing kind of one song as opposed to bashing out as many ideas as possible, which is kind of something that I used to do before. Because I find bashing out loads of ideas really easy, and I think a lot of artists do. And I'm trying to I'm much more disciplined in the way that I make and finish music now, because I'm a lot more considerate of trying to be kind of perfect in terms of how the audience perceive things and how they listen to things, as opposed to having bits of an idea, having like a fully formed idea. So that's definitely one thing. Yeah. I think sometimes when I'm doing drafts of songs, I have ideas in the back of my head, and when I'm doing the drafts, I'm like, I don't really have enough time to do this idea or this idea. And I think once I've run out of things that I want to do with the song, and I've listened to it a bunch of times and I don't want to change anything, that's generally it. So yeah. Well, basically, I was kind of shocked by I mean, I'd always been anti-Spotify, but I was really shocked by Daniel Ek's investment in Helsing, the AI drone bomb company, and I thought that I couldn't really abide by my own money that was being stolen from me, like, you know, the surplus value of my labor going towards that. So I decided in maybe July or August that I didn't want to release the album on Spotify, and so we went very hard on the kind of DIY approach and very big on selling vinyl and stuff like that, and it ended up working in our favor because we were able to, because we were directing so many people towards the physical media, we ended up being in the charts for 2 weeks at number 18, which is amazing because we were, you know, above and below us is like Radiohead, Fontaines, you know, people with very big release strategies behind them, and like the likes of Taylor Swift and stuff. So it really meant a lot to us, and I think to other artists around us, that we were able to enjoy the success without using Spotify. So yeah, that was our logic there. It's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, I hate to say it's like up for interpretation, but like, what do I hope they feel and experience? I don't really know. I think something that I was trying to reflect, and something that I was like, that I was trying to put into the record, was a kind of general push and pull with like how the internet makes us feel and stuff like that. So bits of the album are supposed to feel like taking in way too much information, all compressed into a tiny amount of time, you know? And other bits of the album are really patient, really long form, and it's kind of the exact opposite of that. So I think those are the, I guess, I don't know, having very, very human songs and having very kind of disconnected kind of internet irony kind of songs put together, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't really know what I want people to feel, because I think they can take whatever they want from it. My sister, funny enough, at the album listening, said that she felt like she was dying for most of it. And then when the Medieval Times song came on, she just felt really confused because it was kind of a silly song. So I don't know. You know, it's like, it is what it is. I don't know. I've definitely had to make compromises about a lot of the songs, because a lot of them aren't performable live, just in terms of like songs having really rich instrumentation or having loads of very complicated synthesis that my computer can't really handle live. So a couple of them, like, how is it translated live? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that. It's hard to say. Okay. Yeah. Easily like the best thing I've ever made, and I think it's probably the truest thing that I've ever done to my own interests as an artist, you know. Like, I've spent years kind of producing for other people and making dance music and DJing a lot and stuff, and that's not really true to like what got me into music or what got me into art, like when I was a teenager, or what I'm like interested in now and stuff. Whereas this is much more closer to like both the like sonic worlds that I'm really interested in, but also the kind of like, you know, philosophical and kind of intellectual like worlds that influence my art and how I make decisions and stuff like that. Like, whether or not that translates is kind of a different thing, but at least it's just like it feels much closer to how I make art, you know. This one does. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think a lot of this I would say that I properly started on this album about 2.5 years ago, when I got asked. I mean, I've been working on it for 5 years, but I started on it 2.5 years ago when I got asked to play at Haunted Dance Hall, which is an amazing music festival in Dublin. And I was basically, it was Arts Council funded, and I was given loads of money, and they were saying, do whatever you want. And it was the first time I'd been presented with an opportunity to actually explore what I was interested in. And so I think working on this record was really about finding my own voice and like figuring out what excited me and where I wanted to go with certain things. And I know that now whatever record I make afterwards, I kind of can't go back to what I've done before Old Earth. One, because I think Old Earth is the best thing I've ever made and I want to make something better, but also because it was such a fun and kind of beautiful process and making it that I don't really want to go back to having to constantly compromise for, you know, from making music for Spotify playlists. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm much more driven in how I want to make my own art now, basically, because of Old Earth and because of the process of making it and stuff. So yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, we're gonna do a tour in May of next year, and that will be in Ireland and the UK and bits of Europe. So that's gonna be really fun. It's hard to tell like what's gonna happen after that. I spent a really long time working on this, so I'm going to take a lot of time off, I think, and just be a young person for a while. But I don't know, I think the next thing will probably be some kind of dance music, maybe. But I mean, at the moment, the music that I've been making since finishing the album, that's a very kind of loose-fitting term for what it is. But I don't know, that's kind of the only thing that's on my mind right now. I don't really know what the next record is going to sound like. We're nearly finished Pippa Maloney's next record, who I work with a lot, and she's on my album. So yeah, I don't know, that's where we're at.